Hey, what's up? This is Kristen Carter, and you've tuned into the I Have ADHD podcast. I am medicated, caffeinated, regulated, and ready to roll. You are going to love the conversation that I have today with my friend, Matt Ciciarelli. Guys, we are going to talk about being in the middle. Not at the end of the journey where you have everything figured out, but in the middle of the ADHD journey. And for those of you who maybe are unemployed or underemployed, who maybe you don't feel like you're reaching your potential or you're quite there yet, this episode is going to be so encouraging for you. I am so looking forward to this conversation. But before we get started, I'm going to ask you to engage with this podcast in some way. I'm very happy to announce that our YouTube channel is growing. Thank you, YouTube. It's so awesome. It's so awesome to be here. It's so fun to interact in comments. I didn't realize how fun that would be to have you guys be able to comment, ask questions in real time, have me be able to answer them. It's been so much fun. And on Apple, Spotify, all the things. It's so much fun to be able to be here with you. And the fact that you press play on this podcast when there are millions, literally millions of podcasts that you could choose from, it means so much to me. So thank you for being here. Make sure to like, subscribe, do all the things. And now I would like to welcome my friend, my client, Matt Ciciarelli. We're going to have a conversation about being in the middle of the journey. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. I love this.
Matt, you've been in Focused for over a year.
About 14 months, yes.
And I have enjoyed every moment that you have been able to be on a live call. You are hysterical. You interact on the calls. I know that your work schedule doesn't allow for you to join live as much anymore, but I just want to say before we get started, thank you so much for being in Focus and adding so much to our community. It really means a lot to me.
Well, thank you. What you're doing and the work you do and how you do it means a lot to me. So on behalf of everybody, thank you.
Well, thanks for being here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is Matt Ciciarelli? What you got for me?
I am a Pittsburgh native living in Philadelphia.
Love.
I've become a Phillies fan, which is I know makes you happy.
Not an Eagles fan.
I am an Eagles fan out of self-preservation.
Okay.
When they win, everybody in my house is happy.
Yes.
So,
oh my gosh, that's so real.
yes.
I love it.
So, I married with 3 kids, all 3 of whom are ADHDers.
Yeah.
And so my wife is neurotypical. She is very much on an island in our house.
Bless her. Shout out.
Shout out to Julie. She's a saint. She does it all. She keeps all our trains running on time. And she's the biggest advocate for our kids, which
That's
in
awesome.
many ways I can't be.
Yeah.
And I'm totally indebted to her for everything she does. So,
How old are your kids?
I have a 17-year-old, just turned 17 last weekend. I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old.
I forgot that our kids are like all the same ages.
Junior high school, freshman high school, 5th grade.
That's exactly my kids too. That's so fun. I love it.
So you know it. You know what it's all about.
I know
then.
what it's all about. And I also know, when you talk about advocating for them and then being neurodivergent, that's not for the faint of heart. And so major shout out to your wife for doing that. And I know that in partnerships, we bring strengths to the table. That happens to be my job in my partnership. My husband does so many other things, including the laundry. Thank you, Greg Carter. Appreciate you. So I would rather advocate, for the kids than do the laundry. But I just want to honor that, wow, that is a big role that she fills.
Yeah. And it's not that I don't want to do those things. And obviously, and I quite truthfully, I probably can do those things. It's just that I don't have the confidence to do those things. I sometimes don't have the ability to do those things because, quite honestly, I'm so focused on me and trying to keep my brain from exploding and trying to hold down a job and trying to do all that stuff. And
Mm.
It's kind of morphed into, she's doing the lion's share of it, which really isn't fair, to be
Mm.
honest with you. And that's something I've continually work on. And
Yeah.
she and I discuss it all the time.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of the tools that you get through focus, that I've gotten through focused,
Mm.
have really, kind of set the groundwork for what I can do to help her. It's just a matter of getting to do it, and which
Yeah.
I know you've talked about a lot. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So
Good.
you've saved my marriage a little bit, quite a bit, actually.
I don't know what to say. That's amazing.
Say you're welcome. That's all. Because I'm going to say
I
thank you.
can't do it. Ah. Anyway, I am interested to hear your ADHD story. I know that you've shared it within the focus community, but I actually don't remember
Oh,
your journey.
okay.
So you weren't diagnosed that long ago,
Nope.
right? Okay, so share your story with
I was
us.
diagnosed in September of 2018.
Okay.
I was 42.
Mm.
Um, my wife and I just, kind of, we'd gone through marriage counseling and we had our rough points years before, but we would still gone. Just, I kind of compared it to an oil change in a car. Go
Yeah,
once every 2 months or something like that, just to kind of check up.
love it.
And we had, kind of a couple disagreements on stuff.
Mhm.
And the marriage counselor said, "Have you considered ADHD?" And I'm like, "No." And she said, "I think you should get checked out,
Mm.
just to cover our bases." I said, "Okay." So I sat on it for a while. 3 months later, 4 months later. Um, and then a couple things happened that really kind of made me go do it, made me pull the trigger on it. And one of them was, my son was like 9 or 10,
Okay.
and I had asked him to put a laundry basket away. And 10 minutes later, I come downstairs, I trip on the laundry basket, and I lost it on him. And my wife comes out and she takes me away, and she basically takes me.
Right.
She says, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "He did this on purpose." She goes, "He's 9 years old. He doesn't know how to do that." I'm like,
Yes.
"All right." So that was a wake up call.
Yeah.
And then a little bit, I can't remember when it was, but my daughter, our middle one, was in nursery school,
Mm.
and they had their Father's Day celebration where all the dads come in. We have milk and cookies, and each of the kids had made a poster for, talk about their dad. My dad has blonde hair. My dad wears sweaters or whatever. And the one question, it was like Mad Libs. You remember Mad Libs?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I
so
love
my
that.
dad likes to blank. And my daughter's Faith said, my dad likes to work in the garage. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, cool. But the teacher, in front of everybody, all the other dads, like 15 other dads, says, "This is actually the second thing Faith said. The first thing Faith said was, Dad likes to yell." And I'm like, in front of everybody here? Is that really necessary? So that was kind of a very much a wake up call. Between the two of those, I was like, all right, let's figure this out.
That's so uncomfortable.
It was very uncomfortable.
That's
And
so inappropriate.
it was hard to hear. I mean, I needed to hear it. I probably needed to hear it.
She could have told you in private
I
if
did
she
not need
wanted
to
to
hear it
share it.
in that forum, though.
Wow.
And I've never forgotten that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like emotional
Oh,
regulation
yeah.
was
Oh,
a
yeah.
big piece of your
Mhm.
diagnosis.
Yeah. And part of that was because, and this is after I got my diagnosis, I was talking to my therapist, and he said, it's taking every ounce of your energy to get through your day.
Yes.
And you come home after work and you're just, you don't know it, but you're completely exhausted.
Mhm.
And you're taking it out on your kids, you're taking it out on,
Yeah.
everything. And you
Yeah.
don't even realize it.
Mentally
Because this wasn't
drained.
modeled at home when I was growing up. My parents were
Mm.
never, uh, you know, yelling or anything like that.
Mm. So it wasn't learned behavior.
No,
Yep.
no.
So you come home from work, you're totally mentally drained. You are probably emotionally worn out.
Hmm.
You come home to 3 kids.
Hmm.
I think everyone relates to this.
Yes.
the mental load of just surviving a day in the life of an ADHDer. And it's not even necessarily about work. Like, think about all that it takes to get out the door. Like, I just, even all of the steps to like getting to work and then doing your job. And then even like your lunch break. Okay, now I have an hour, and now, like, great. Now I have to think about food, and I have to think about, am I supposed to sit over here, over here? Who should I talk to? The mental fatigue that we experience.
Yeah. And it was different. You talk about lunch. I ate lunch at my desk every day.
Yeah.
And because I had been laid off twice, I probably, you could call that a traumatic experience, I guess. And because one of them was kind of out of the blue.
Dang.
The other one I kind of saw was coming. It was a bank merger and a bank acquisition, and we knew we were going to go. But I never wanted that to happen again. And so I was always, I'm going to work constantly. I'm going to sit at my desk. I'm going to show them that I'm doing this. And I would get to the point where anytime my boss would have a closed door meeting with somebody, I'm like, that's it. They're talking about me. I'm getting fired.
Wow.
That's it. Or they're laying me off. That's it. I was like, if you've seen Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
When Morgan Freeman, he gets out and he goes and sits at that wall, and he opens the thing up, and he's reading the letter from Andy Dufresne.
Yep.
And he kind of looks around.
Yes.
It's like that. It's like I think I heard somebody call it convict's paranoia. That's kind of what I felt. I feel that every single day at work. Anytime there's a door closed and it's my boss in there, I'm like, oh God, here we go.
So when did that kind of like paranoia start? Was it after the like really unexpected layoff?
Yeah, it was. It was, so that was in like 2005.
Okay.
And I got another job and laid off from that one. That was a bank acquisition. So we knew we were, but every time, I would say every time after, I would say 2006, 2007, excuse me, it was, that's what I would feel that. And I still do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really hard way to operate.
It's
what does
stressful.
It feel like? Stress or like panic?
I'm on pins and needles every day. I'm walking on eggshells, and I've had some good bosses who were like, "What are you talking about?" Because I would share that with them. I was like, "Oh, I'm so afraid every time you have to do." And they're like, "Oh, stop." They're like, they tell me I'm in, whatever.
Right. You're fine.
Yeah, and then I've had bosses who are like, well, if that's what's going to happen, it's what's going to happen. And
thanks for the reassurance. I appreciate that.
Exactly. And that's definitely not fun.
No.
You talk about eggshells.
Yeah. Do you feel like that also contributed to the mental load that you were carrying and like the fatigue that you were feeling?
Yes, absolutely. Because there are sometimes I'd come home and I'm like, oh, survived another day.
Okay.
Like,
yes.
Because especially when, I'm a marketing and a communications guy, and in financial services, the saying goes, when times are bad, people who spend the money and don't make the money, the people who spend the money are gone first. Yes. Marketing people spend money.
Yep.
We don't bring money in, but we help them bring money in. But a lot of people, when it's
an expense. We're going to cut that expense.
Exactly. Yeah. Or trim that expense.
Yeah.
And, we're, it's happened a couple times since too. So it's not fun.
Yeah, that's not fun. So take me back to you get diagnosed. What was that experience like for you? So you're 42. You walk into your clinician's office. They give you an evaluation. Was it an easy diagnosis for them? Were they like,
absolutely.
You've got a raging case of it?
Oh, yes. He said, oh, yes. Raging case is a very...
Okay.
So I went in and he said, what are you looking at? And I said, I gave him the whole story. And I actually left out 6 months before I went in for this. My brother passed away.
Oh,
so
sorry.
I think a lot of this really started to happen after he passed away. And he had been sick for a while. And then so, I mean, it was awful, obviously, but it wasn't like sudden. It wasn't like tragedy or anything,
Sure.
tragic event. So I think kind of the workarounds that I had in place just kind of fell apart.
Yes.
And I think he kind of
Yes.
put that together, and then I took whatever testing he gave me, and when he called me back in to go through the results, he goes, "I would like your wife to come in too." I'm like, "Okay." And then we got there, and he goes, "I'm going to tell you what I found." And he looks at my wife and he goes, "And I'm going to tell you because he's not going to remember 3/4 of what I'm going to say."
It's so real.
And he was exactly right.
Yes. It's so
Bless
real.
his heart, he was exactly right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. So when he told me about it and kind of went through it, I lost it. I started bawling right there. Tears. I'm
Honey.
like, it was tears of probably relief.
Yeah.
It was like, finally know what's going on here. And it was probably
Yes.
tears of sadness. Like, why didn't I do this before?
Mm.
I mean, to me, like I told you, I'd sat on the recommendation to do it for like 3 or 4 months. And I'm like, I should have done this months ago. And now I should have done this years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you can't do it if nobody ever mentions it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, I understand, or I can understand that feeling of like, gosh, I wish I'd known this.
Mhm.
But, one of the things that Ari Tuckman said when he was here is like the best thing that clinicians can do is just know that adult ADHD exists.
Right.
And I think that is what this speaks to, right? Like, you've been in marriage counseling for how long? It would have been awesome if your counselor just knew,
Right.
like had an understanding about adult ADHD.
Right.
And in the first couple of weeks could have been like, oh, this guy's got a raging case of ADHD. Like a diagnosis and some treatment might be really helpful.
Right. And when I told my parents about it too, so my mom's a nurse. We're both retired now. My mom's a nurse and my dad's a college professor.
Oh, cool.
So dad's very analytical.
Yeah.
Mom's very practical.
Yeah.
We took him out to breakfast. My wife and I took him out to breakfast, and I had the printout of all the results and everything. I handed it to him. I was like, and they still live in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So they were getting ready to drive home. I was like, so I told him about it. And I said, here's all the results. I said, don't read it now. Read it on the way home. Read it when you get home, whenever.
Yeah.
And then my mom's like, oh, okay, this is good, blah, blah, blah. I'm glad you know, and all that.
Yeah.
She gets home because she gets home from the drive, and they read it on the drive, and she read it out loud to my dad as he was driving. And she called me and she goes, this is the biggest tragedy of my life for not getting you not realizing this and getting you diagnosed as a kid.
Wow.
And quite honestly, I wasn't the hyper kid. I wasn't bouncing off the walls, which back when we were young, that's what they look for. That's what they looked for. Right.
Bless her.
But
what a beautiful mama response. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That really is.
Yeah.
At
the time, it was what I needed. And, kind of what it's.
Thank you so much for that. I think that so many of us, like, maybe so many listeners would be like, man, I wish my mom would respond that way, So that's just like a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you had that. So what did you do? Your doctor said, we got some ADHD going on here. What did you choose to do about that information?
Right. So he put me on Adderall. He recommended Adderall. I had to go to he was a psychologist, so I had to go to the family doctor.
Sure.
And kind of ramped up on that, and I could see a difference.
Okay.
But I went into work and I expected it to be like a magic pill. Like I'm like, all right, so suddenly everything's much clearer now. And
right.
Wasn't really that, but I could see myself thinking a little clearer and that kind of stuff. So it was still, it was still work to be done. I knew I needed something. I needed more tools to manage everything. But it was a good start though. It was like, he explained it to me, like, he says, right now you're going down the road, you're coming to a Y in the road and you're just going.
Yeah.
The Adderall, the medications they're going to help you stop and make a decision on which way to go.
Yes. Did you find that to be true?
Yeah, it's kind of slowed me down a little bit.
Okay.
Um,
Gave you those breaks?
yes, not totally, but
Sure.
enough that I was like, okay, I can see a difference.
Sure.
But then after that, it was just, and I kept seeing him.
Mm.
And then I got laid off again. How about that? So
Dang.
it was kind of a whirlwind between. So and yeah, my brother passed away in February of 18. I got
Yeah.
diagnosed in September of 18.
Yeah.
And then everything was good, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
The world shut down.
Yeah.
And that's where things at work really started to kind of.
Yeah.
Because it was work. We were two working parents. We're trying to work full time. I mean, you've
From
probably heard this
home.
1,000 times. So yeah, working full time from home
With 3 kids.
with 3 kids. At that time, they were in kindergarten, 4th grade,
Yep.
and 6th grade.
Yep. Homeschooling.
And trying to get them to sit in front of a computer, especially a kindergartner and a 4th grader with ADHD.
Totally.
The 6th grader was okay. He was, kind of on his own. He kind of knew what he was doing. We still had to kind of rein him in every now and then. And something would happen at work and I would just lose it again. And because of my patience was that thin, and I was like, I can't lose my job again. And I've already been laid off twice. And I was like, my fuse was short, and it wasn't good for us. So my wife was like, go upstairs to the bedroom, move your desk up there, and I'll handle everything. And that's really, that was a great concession that she made, but it also put so much pressure on her, which was, I'm still working to get out of that, because I got into so many habits now. Like, all right, she's got it. All right, we're good.
Totally.
She's got the bills. She's got the kids. And I'm trying to focus on, keeping my life in order.
Functioning,
yes, as an adult with ADHD. So it's not cool.
It's just so much work for some of us. And I think that you're right to say, like, it's different seasons. Like in different seasons. And I think it depends on where on the spectrum we fall and how severe our case of ADHD is and what supports we have, yada, yada, yada. But depending on the season of our life, like just functioning as a human can be so much work.
Yes.
Like not debilitating work, but enough work so that you're just spent. You've got nothing left.
Right. Yeah.
So you want to be an equal partner. You want to be an equal parent. And yet all of your mental, physical, emotional energy is going to just like functioning within your role.
And that's where all the tools from Focused and the other programs I tried before Focused, I have them, and all of these therapists that I'm going to and everything. I have all those tools. Yeah. Using them to help her ease the load, ease that workload, and make the division of labor more even. That's where my roadblock comes in. Yeah. And that's where it's just, okay, you want me to pay the bills? Yes, I can pay the bills. And now look.
What does this mean? What do I do?
Yeah, where do I start?
I don't want to do it. Where do I start?
And then I say, hey, can you help me? She goes, figure it out.
Yes. Oh, that's
bless
so
her
hard. Bless her. I mean, bless both of your hearts. You're both working so hard to try to function and make it work.
Right. And, and I'm constantly feeling like I have to do more because I know that she's doing so much.
That's not a fun feeling.
No.
Do you feel like you are adding like an ADHD penalty to yourself?
Yeah, I guess you could call it that.
I accidentally went into coach mode.
It's okay. It's okay.
But I am curious.
Yeah, no. I this is the way she's like, do stuff for yourself. Go out, hit golf balls. Go watch a ball game with your friends. I'm like, sure, I'll do that. And then I feel like, all right, I'm being selfish here. I shouldn't be here. She's at home. Yeah. She's home all day, working 40 hours a week and managing 3 kids. I need to be at home What is she dealing with that I should be helping with? A lot of shoulds in there.
Yeah, a lot of shoulds,
Yes.
honey.
I'm trying to get away from if I'm going to I'm trying to get away from oh, it shouldn't be like this. I
Yes.
should have a job. I shouldn't have been laid off. I should be able to find another job, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not there yet. I still do it a lot.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like this, but but
like accepting reality.
Exactly. Yeah. So like you talk about the ADHD penalty.
Yeah.
I feel that like if I go out to have a beer with friends.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, it's been 45 minutes. I got to get back. She's,
Dang.
Yeah. And meanwhile, she's telling me to go and she doesn't care that I'm gone that long.
It's not on her. Right. It seems like your brain does not want to let you just be.
Right.
Just like relax.
Right. It's always
wonder
what's
why
next?
You're exhausted.
Yeah. What's next? Okay. We need to do this. We need to do the laundry. Okay. I got 5 minutes. Okay. I can fold this, fold these towels, before I have to put dinner away because,
or run this kid out the door to, Yep. So I think your story of employment is really interesting. And I know it like means a lot to you and it takes up a lot of like your mental and emotional space. And I am so proud of the way that you've handled it in the last year. So if you don't mind sharing, you were laid off in November, so almost a year ago, right?
Yes.
And what has it been like for you since then?
It's been a bit of a roller coaster. I found out right before Thanksgiving. It was like the Monday before Thanksgiving. They said that as of December 1st, my position was eliminated.
Dang.
And at the time I was like, oh my God, here we go. Because I loved my job. I loved what I did. I enjoyed, it was it had been like 20 years since I woke up every day saying, I am excited to go to work.
Wow.
I did not like the environment. I did not like how I was treated at times. But I was like, I love my job. The devil I know is better than the devil I don't know. I'm going to make it work.
Totally.
I can put up with that crap but I can still do what I love.
Yeah.
So when they told me, I was like, oh God, this is awful. A month after, maybe a week, 2 weeks after I was gone, I was like, this was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow.
Because I didn't have the stress of walking on eggshells around a boss that was ready to jump down my throat because I wasn't doing what he had asked me to, or he thought I wasn't doing that. I mean, we don't have to get into that, but it was, and when I got, my immediate supervisor, when he told me, he goes, I'm doing this for you. When he told me that I'm letting you know now, I'm doing this for you because I can tell that if I don't do this, you're going to stay here and you're just going to be miserable. And it's like, come on, no, that's not true. And then 2 weeks after, I said he was exactly right.
Wow.
Because, leave well enough alone. Yeah. Whatever cliche, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. I don't want to go out for I don't want to keep looking for jobs and all that kind of stuff. I just want to.
You'll just stay in an environment that's maybe not super healthy.
Right. And I was kind of, I probably didn't realize that because I loved what I was doing.
That's so cool that you loved what you were doing.
Yeah. And I did. Yeah. And, when that rug was kind of pulled out from under me, I was like, first of all, it was the beginning of December. Nobody, it's not, the job market in December
totally
is not really the best.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm employable. I have 25 years of experience.
Totally.
I went to a good college. I went to, I yada, yada, yada. I've worked for this bank, that bank, and all this stuff. Someone's going to hire me.
Totally.
Plus
I'm a good time.
Well,
like super fun.
Well,
come on.
From your lips to God's ears. No, but I was like, and I was a director at that job. I was a director of marketing. It's the first time I'd ever been a director. I was like, there's something to be said for that. And so throughout the month of December, my wife was like, just go get a job, do anything just to kind of, because whatever unemployment's going to get you, that's good. What any job is going to do better and then benefits, because she works for a very small company. So her benefits are just uber expensive.
Wow.
And so I'm like, yeah, I hear you, but I really didn't hear. That was all lip service. I hear you. And my head was like, no, I need to find another director job. I need to be a senior vice president or whatever.
So she was saying, find any job.
Yes.
And you were saying in your head, that's adorable.
Yeah.
But absolutely not.
Yeah. Even I wasn't even saying that's adorable. I was like, okay, whatever. And I was like, I need to get a marketing job. I need to get a communications job. And months went by and she's like, how we doing on that? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And she's like, we really need.
The math is not mathing.
The math is not math.
Yeah.
Yes. She was looking at it from she was looking at it from an effort perspective. I was looking at it from an outcome perspective.
Yeah.
And that did not jive with what we needed at the time.
Yeah.
We needed money coming in. We needed, we had 3 kids.
We got kids.
We got 3 kids
bills.
at this point. One of them was going to college in a couple years, which blew my mind. When she said that was like a reality shovel to the face. And I'm like,
yeah.
All right. And then she's like, then he's turning 16 and, and he's going to need a car. And I'm like, I was like, all right. So it wasn't until the summer where she kept asking me all that time. And I'm like, and then it finally hit me like, oh man, I do need a job.
Why do you think it took that long?
I have no idea. And that's the biggest mystery. And my therapist has asked me that. She's asked me that. And I don't have an answer for it. And I wish I did, because I heard her, but maybe I didn't want to believe it. Maybe it was a pride thing. I didn't want to go stock shelves at the grocery store. Yeah. I didn't want to.
How come? Why didn't you want to?
I mean, I guess because, hey, I'd been a director of marketing. I wanted this job. I wanted to stay where I was. I didn't want to take a step backwards.
Yes.
And I would see that as a step backwards. Whereas.
And then what would that mean?
That would mean I'd have to work my way it took me 25 years to get where I was. I'd have to work my way back up. And I think in my head, I went all the way down the mountain to the bottom, whereas it would have been maybe a step backwards or just a temporary thing.
Sure. Everyone with ADHD knows what to do to improve their lives. You go to bed at a reasonable time and you wake up early, make a list, cross the things off the list in order, manage your time well. Yeah, we know what to do, but ADHD is not a disorder of not knowing what to do. It's a disorder of knowing exactly what to do, but not being able to get yourself to do it. That's why ADHD is so frustrating. We're smart and we want to succeed, but we can't get ourselves to do the things that we know we should do in order to make improvements. That's why I created Focused. I'm a life coach with multiple certifications, and since 2019, I've spent thousands of hours coaching adults with ADHD. Time for me to focus on you. Hello. Welcome to your coaching call. I am going to be coaching you today on relationships. I know what it takes to help an adult with ADHD go from hot mess express to grounded and thriving. Focused is my monthly coaching membership where we go deep and we get to the root cause of what holds us back with ADHD. I'll teach you how to understand your ADHD brain, regulate your emotions, and accept yourself, flaws and all. With this foundation, we build the skills to improve life with ADHD. And not only do you get skills and tools in Focused, but you're surrounded by a huge community of adults with ADHD who are also doing the work of self-development right alongside of you. Dr. Ned Hallowell says, healing happens in community, and I have absolutely found this to be true. As a matter of fact, listen to what actual Focus members have to say about being in this program.
What can I say about Focused?
Full community of people who have issues similar to you, and no one judge you.
Focused has really supported me with my difficulties and asking for help. I've been encouraged and cheered on by the community. I really like that you can do as much or as little as you want. It's not just about the volume of the content, it's about the quality.
Focus has helped me understand ADHD better.
I would recommend this to anyone.
I would thoroughly recommend Focus.
I can confidently say that this is one of the best decisions that I have made for myself.
So if you're an adult with ADHD who wants to figure out how to be motivated from the inside out and make real lasting changes in your life, join hundreds of others from around the world in Focused. Click the link in the episode description to check it out. It's so interesting, the status and the self-worth, self-value that we, not just you, I think we all do it, attached to our profession, attached to our title, attached to our salary, the literal math number, you know, and we attach so much to it that it can be very hard for us.
It's hard to let it go. It's hard to get it out of the front. It's right in front of me. That was always right in. That was the first goal. The first goal that I needed to get was the title, or the salary just kind of came with the title. I didn't know about that.
Sure.
That was what I was like. If I was looking at searching for jobs, the first thing I would look for is the title.
Dang. Yep. Because what would you get to feel if you had a director job?
I would get to feel like, all right, made a smooth. I came out smiling on the other side.
Yes. This didn't impact.
Right. Yep. I made a smooth transition, and all right. Yeah. They laid me off. That was crappy.
Yeah.
But
here I am.
Look at me. I made it. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I feel it. Yeah. Okay. So, in the summer, you realized, oh shoot, the math really is a math thing.
It wasn't really shoot, but it was.
It's more of a Philly word than shoot. Yeah.
Yes.
And then what happened? What did you do?
It was a lot of back and forth with my wife. I'm saying, I don't need to do this. I didn't think I need, but she was like, we do. And it was like knock down, drag out, disagreements.
Yeah.
And then, through a friend of my sister-in-law, her dad, through a friend, I am now working at a cemetery.
Love it.
I'm digging graves. So I go from director of marketing at a private capital firm that's worth $5 billion to digging graves.
And I am so proud of you for doing it. That is, I mean, I just don't want to sound like I don't want to sound demeaning, but I just want you to know that that's what a man does, right? He goes out and he digs graves so that he can support his family. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. See, and that's, yes. And a lot of people have told me that, but in my head, my brain wiring has it as, I shouldn't be here. Here we go with the shoulds again. I shouldn't be here. And this is nothing against the
profession
or the people that work there. And the people I work with are great. They enjoy what they do. They're proud of what they do.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there. I mean, I enjoy my job. But I'd rather be sitting behind a desk, writing content for whoever's going to hire me.
So you don't see it as, you're not yet able to look at it and be like, look at me just doing.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I am not fully there.
Yeah.
It is still
like a fight against reality.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm still going to get a job.
For sure.
And I'm still looking. And that's the great thing about this job is that they know that I'm still looking for
no surprise.
A job that I went to college for. And it's,
what were you going to say when you did this?
I was going to say a real job.
Yeah, I knew it.
Sorry. Because it is a real job, what they do. It's real work.
I know. And it's what you do.
Right.
And you are.
Yeah, I shouldn't say what they do because I actually do it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You are doing what it takes. And that's so important. I want to just first commend you for that. And thank you for showing all of us ADHDers, you do what you have to do. And there's no shame in that. But I think you're working through that part.
Yeah. My biggest shame is that it took me so long to realize that. And that's where my wife and I disagreed on all those things where she was all winter and all spring. She's like, we need a job. We need a job. The math is mathing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but I can't do that. I was a director. It was,
Yes.
so if I would, if I could turn back time,
Yeah.
I would, as soon as it happened, I would listen to her and I would have jumped on it.
Mm-hmm. And still looked for a job.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes.
I think that it's frustrating to have ADHD and have to learn the hard way
Mm-hmm.
all the time.
Yeah. And I think when you're diagnosed late as an adult, that's the only way you learn. Because we tell this to our kids all the time whenever we're trying to give them tools and everything, and they're giving us and they're rolling their eyes at us. We're like, yo, we're trying to get our youngest is 11. I was like, we're trying to break habits, to get you to keep from doing habits now. So when you're 48, like your dad, you're not trying to break them.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of retraining that's had to be done in the last 6 years.
I just wonder what it is about us, and I've seen it in myself. I really see it in one of my kids, where we say, it's fine. It's fine. I'm going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so for example, your wife coming to you and saying, we need to just get any job.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, no, it's fine. I'm going to it's going to happen. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't know if that's like a defense mechanism or if it's like an inability to really engage with reality.
I think
like, what do you think?
I think it's more the inability to engage. Like,
what is that about with that? Like, it's us. It's not just you.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I'm using
It's
us language because it's definitely not just you.
Because I think we live in the should a lot, and it shouldn't be like this, and it's going to be fine. It's when
fantasy almost. Or would you not go that far?
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
I think it's more of a hope. It's more of a, you go back to Shawshank Redemption. Hope is a dangerous thing.
Hope is a dangerous.
Yeah.
Man, when's the last time you saw that movie? I feel like it's very fresh in your mind.
Come on, it's on TV all the time.
Wow. I've probably seen it like twice in my life, and that's it. I know, but I would really want to go watch it again.
Kristen Carter. We
got movies to watch.
My goodness.
The hope. I think that I just interviewed someone recently, and we talked about how a lot of ADHDers feel this almost childlike hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a really endearing aspect of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like we bring so much to the table, and that hope is such a beautiful thing, but then it kind of bites us in the ass sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it bit me in the ass with all the last 10 months or 11 months.
Yeah.
I hope I'm going to get a real job. Sorry.
Oh, look at you again.
I know. Sorry. I hope I'm going to get a job that I went to college for.
Yeah.
I hope this is it. I hope I'm going to wake up today and someone's going to call with an interview and say, come on in.
But that's a good hope, don't you think?
Yes. But after 11 months, my hope was that it's going to happen like that. And after this long, I'm realizing that
it's going to take a while.
It's going to take longer. Like I remember in June, I was talking to a recruiter and they were saying, well, things will open up more after the election. And I'm like,
the election?
I'm like, I am not doing this till November. And here we are. For
context, it's November 5th.
It is election day.
And I voted today. Did you vote today?
I did vote this morning. Yes. I was number 11. I was
you were number 11? Wow, you were there early.
I did not.
132.
Whatever?
132.
Okay, I was number 11 in my...
Dang.
I wanted to get it done. I didn't want to stand in any lines. Plus, I knew it was coming here. I didn't want to be late.
Listen, I want to go back to that hope aspect because I think part of that, like when the recruiter said to you, like, hey, things will open up after the election, you're like, excuse me, that's in like 5 months. I'm not waiting that long. I think we also have this skewed view. Well, obviously we know this, have a skewed view of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we think like things will happen quickly.
Mm-hmm.
We're impatient by nature as ADHDers. And we don't, maybe it is like an immaturity in us with time where we're just like, it's going to be fast. It's going to happen quickly. It's not like that part of our brain has not been fully developed, right? We know the frontal lobe is what houses our ability to manage and understand the concept of time. And so we just think like, I'm a great candidate.
Right.
There's all these places looking. This is going to be
Something's
an
gotta
easy,
fit.
yeah. It's going to be an easy bada bing, bada boom kind of thing.
And that's not at all the way it's been.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just curious how you like wrestle with getting up to dig graves in the morning, knowing that what you feel like you were really born to do is marketing director. How do you reconcile that on a daily basis?
It's a great question. And I don't know if I've ever thought about it that way. I think right now I'm at the point where, all right, it's my job. I got to get up and this is my contribution right now.
Yes.
When I first started at it, it was I've wanted so long to be one of those people sitting in traffic making their morning commute, and now I'm doing it. I'm going to this freaking job.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? And I've gotten past that stage, and I'm now into the all right. We got to do what we got to do kind of stage.
Yeah.
But I go back to every now and then I go back to oh man, I wish I was going to an office right now.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish that was, I wish I had to, travel for business or whatever,
Yes.
and kind of, wish for what I had before. And
you loved your job.
I did. And I really did.
Yeah.
And I thought I was good at it.
Totally.
But and I know it's something's gonna break eventually.
Yeah. But like the in between, like that's where you are. And I think it's actually really, I'm so grateful to you for being willing to talk about this and like share your story, because a lot of times we share stories from the other side. Like, here's what I went through, and guys, you'll get through it, and blah, blah, blah. But like you're speaking from the middle.
Yeah. I'm in the thick of it right now.
You're in the trenches. And that means something, for a listener. Because I think sometimes listeners, and hey, listener, let me know if you resonate with this or like if this is how you feel. But I think sometimes listeners can feel like, well, like everybody that comes on has a story of having figured it out and having gotten there.
Right.
And when we can share stories from the middle.
Right. Yeah, my story's not complete.
It's not complete.
No, because I don't want it to be complete because I don't want to be digging graves for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like sharing your journey and just being like, I'm in the middle of it. There's so much value in that. How did you feel when you just were talking about your job and you said, this is my contribution. This is the way that I contribute. What happens on the inside when you look at it that way? Well, that was a big sigh. So
I have this. There's part of me that's like, I can't believe I'm still doing this. I can't believe I'm still digging graves. But there's also part of me like, okay, I go back and forth.
Yep.
So I'm kind of conflicted, I guess.
Yes. Because when you think this is how I'm contributing, this is my contribution, is there like a sense of pride or accomplishment or like ownership of that?
A little bit. There is a little bit, but there's also that sense of there's a lot of things we want to do at home. We want to go on vacation.
Yeah.
We want our 25th anniversary is in a couple of years. We want to take the kids to wherever we want to go. We want to do this. We want to redo the kitchen. We want to finish the basement.
Yep.
And I can't do that stuff. We can't afford to do that stuff when we have the debt that we've incurred over the last 10 months, 11 months. And my job is, less than half the salary of what I was making before.
Yeah.
So that creeps in my mind more often than more. That's kind of what I feel of like, all right, this is what I'm contributing, but I still need to contribute more.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what does it look like to work a full day at a very physical job?
Yes.
So
it's
now,
outside. It's good.
Okay, that's
It's
great.
outside.
That's great for the mental health.
It is.
And moving your body is great for the mental health too. But I can imagine that you're tired. by the end of the day.
Yes. Yeah. Just to be set the record straight, I'm not digging with a shovel. I'm not digging graves with a shovel. There is a backhoe.
I don't know how these things work.
It's okay. It's okay. Use that.
Are there any shovels involved?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
Yes, there are shovels and rakes.
And rakes. Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's outside. It's physical, but it's not like manual labor the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it is manual labor. Like, I'm cutting down trees. I'm, moving headstones and which are not light. I actually slammed my finger in one. I fell in a grave last 2 weeks ago. I did.
Tell me.
We had it covered up. I picked it up and I walked forward instead of walking back. I've done it, hundreds of times, and this time I just walked forward. It's kind of a rite of passage from what I understand. Everybody was like, well, it's about time. What took you so long? There's another guy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Was it fully dug and you landed 6? Oh.
I kind of caught myself on the edge, but it was
hysterical.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt. Oh my gosh. It's so funny.
My kids had a ball with that.
I bet they did.
We have this text string with all 3 kids and my wife. We call it the home team chat. And I was like, who has 2 thumbs and fell in a grave this morning? This guy. My son, the 17-year-old, goes, Dad, you just made my day.
So cute. Oh my gosh. Okay. So what does it look like to continue to look for work while you are already working full time?
Right.
You have 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be really tough.
It's
It's
a lot of late nights. It's evenings. Come home, if I'm not stopping to get kids, one of the kids from here to there, we're trying to do the car shuffle. We got 3 drivers, 2 cars right now. Eating dinner and then trying to get everybody in. But I get home at like 4:15, 4:30.
Nice.
Take a shower right away
Nice.
because I'm a mess.
Yeah.
And then I try to do some job search stuff there. And then maybe the shuffle, kid shuffle, whatever. And then after dinner, I'll spend, a couple more hours at night still looking. And it's emailing friends, it's networking with people, it's looking for jobs. It's, if I find one that I applied for and then it's going up on looking on LinkedIn of who works there, if I know anybody that works there and they can, it's all these things. And, it's
feels like a lot.
It is. And it's draining. And then all in between all that, this is when my wife is saying, okay, can you help me with the bills? Can you help me with the laundry? Can you help me with this? And I'm like
real life
when do
stuff?
I have time? And that's when she says, all right, let's make some time here. And and I'm learning to make that time. Sometimes I won't go out and watch a ball game with my friends. Sure. I will stay home and I need to stay home and do other things to help her and that kind of stuff. So
dang.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you would say to people who are also maybe not doing the work that they want to do and looking for work, and what encouragement might you have to share with?
I would say if you're married with kids, listen to your wife right away.
Oh my gosh.
That's the best piece of advice I can give you, is because it would have saved a lot of a lot of, contentious discussions, we'll put it that way. If I would have just listened to her back in December last year and just say, all right, let's get a job. Let's find, I can still look for something and not get hung up on that, the title or the title. Yeah.
Don't get hung up on titles.
Yes.
And how do we not get hung up on titles?
That is a great question. Because for me, it was very hard to get where I was.
Yeah.
And for me, it's anything less than that or a little bit less than that or anything more than a little bit less than that would have been like, nope, that's not me. And I don't want that. And thinking that way was like, oh my God, I'm so selfish right now. I am why do I think that I can do that? And I can, I should hold out like that. And I've never felt that way before. I've never thought that way before. It's always been, all right, how can we help? What can we do? All that jazz.
I wonder if it was just loving your job so much and loving the idea of marketing director so much, and then just being like, I cannot go back or take a step backwards.
It was part of that. That was part of it. I think a lot of it was more pride because there's, you know, I didn't want to. I didn't. Yeah, and I didn't want to see somebody in the grocery store. Hey, what are you doing? I'm digging graves.
Yeah.
Or I'm stocking shelves. Or I'm just this.
Why do we do this to each other? Though?
I don't know.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like as a society, why do we make it so that we can't just be like, I'm working at Giant or Acme so that I can.
It's Acme.
The Acme.
At the Acme. Yes.
I'm working at the Acme to provide for my family.
Right. And it's the weird thing is all that's in my head. And anybody I would run into at the grocery store who asked me that question, if I would give them that answer, they'd be like,
cool.
They would say, okay, cool. Yeah, no problem. They wouldn't be like, huh, look at you now. What happened to you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you fell from grace, didn't it?
Right.
I don't know anybody that I would interact with at the grocery store in that scenario that would say that.
Yeah.
And
yet
I'm like
the voice in your head, the inner critic.
Yes. All of that.
All of it.
All of that.
Whew. It's good. So listen to sound advice is what you.
Yes. That's listen to sound advice. It's funny. When I was coaching my son's baseball team, the head coach would do this. He'd talk about that. And I would tell the kids 3 words: listen, comprehend, execute.
Oh my gosh.
I said, hear it, understand it, do it. And I even tell the kids that now, and even not in sports.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that's not doing it. I'm not even listening. I'm not comprehending, nor am I executing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's like, if I would just follow my own advice and listen to my wife, comprehend what she's saying. Hey, the math isn't working.
Yeah.
And then go out and do it.
Yeah.
It would have been.
It took you a while to get there, but you got there.
I did at an expense, but I did.
Will you be able to forgive yourself for that, do you think?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think once we get back on our feet, we get, I get the job. I get a job that I went to college for.
You could say real job if you want to.
No, it's not. I don't want to say that.
Okay.
And we kind of get out of the hole that we've dug. And I think, then I'll, come out smiling on the other side. I think then I'll be able to figure myself. Until then, it's going to be a bit of a journey.
Dang. Here's what I would hope for you. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
What I would hope is that process of self-forgiveness could start now and not have I'll forgive myself when.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you would want that for your best friend or your wife or your kid.
Right.
Like you have to do X, Y, Z. You have to pay penance and, make yourself suffer before you get forgiveness. Like I understand repair.
Yes.
Probably a lot of repair that needs to happen. So that's totally different story, right? Like building up trust again and repair and that kind of thing. But the regret that we carry is like just not useful to us.
No.
Right?
And we know it's not useful. That's the worst part.
That's
and we
it's
like, oh God, don't think this way. Don't think this way. And then boom, it pops
there
right
it
in your
is.
head. And I'm like, oh, here we go.
And then is it so heavy? For me, it's just so heavy when I feel that regret.
And a perfect scenario is, my wife and I are talking and she's like, well, this bill's due or this, we got to shuffle this to make sure we pay that. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
If only I could hold a job, if I didn't get laid off, if I could find a job, we wouldn't be in this and she wouldn't be so upset and we wouldn't have to do all this and life would be easier.
Dang.
And it's just the self-loathing of, it's a cycle that I can't,
And then how helpful is self-loathing when it comes to job search?
No, it's not. It's like, and it goes back to self-trust and self-confidence because I look at the list. I'm like, can't do that job. That's out.
Yeah.
Can't do that job. That's out. So
Yeah.
I'm eliminating myself before I even,
Yes.
and it's really tough.
That's so tough. What does your work look like with self-trust? Because I know that you've done some of that work.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in Focused. We have those courses on self-trust. I think you were there live for that course. Most of it?
The beginning of it.
Okay.
The beginning of it.
That's awesome.
So I need to go back. I need to go back and get it.
I mean, you don't have to do anything.
Well, no, I do need to go. And for the sake of my marriage and the sake of my sanity, yes, I need to go back.
I just think that self-trust is such a huge aspect of all of this, right?
Yep, it is. And it absolutely is. And quite honestly, 11 months of applying for jobs that I know I can get, that I know I can do, and then not getting any of them, I've been beaten down. I'm like, and especially since I'm doing all the stuff that everybody asked me, I've been beaten down. So my self-trust is like in the toilet right now.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's my wife was like, I know you can do this. I know you can pay these bills.
Yeah.
I know you can. You're smart. You have a college degree. You have 25 years of experience in corporate America, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but it's so hard. And I don't know where to start. And she goes, just do it.
Do you think, though, that when it comes to paying bills specifically, that the shame and self-loathing of like being in the hole is really the block?
That's part of it.
I think that for me,
that's
when I've struggled, it's been the 100-pound weight of I'm in the hole. If I could just XYZ, like we shouldn't be living this way. Like when I've struggled to pay bills, it's always been attached to my feelings about myself regarding money.
So it's that, but I'm going to go back in time here. About 6 years ago, my mother-in-law was sick. She was in the hospital. And so my wife was at the hospital every day, and she was coming home trying to do all the stuff at home. And I was like, you go deal with that. I got the home front. I'll pay the bills. I sat down to try to pay him, and I was like,
wait, what?
Overwhelmed.
Yes.
And so I just didn't do it. Like 2 months went by, I just didn't do it.
Dude.
And I didn't tell her anything.
Dude.
And I'm so ashamed of it now. I am absolutely ashamed of it. And then her mom's sick. Her mom passes away. And then we come back, and she comes back from all this stuff with the memorial service, funeral, all that kind of stuff, and all these overdue stuff. So it's a bit of a trauma response, I guess. To the bills. Yeah. There's
it sounds like that.
Because I don't want that to happen again.
No.
In my mind is like, all right, it happened before, so it's obviously going to happen again. And you know how our brains work.
I do know how our brains work.
That's where my brain goes. That's where it goes.
Yeah. So if this is my responsibility, I'm going to F it up.
Absolutely.
So it can't be my responsibility.
Exactly right.
Yeah. I know we're coming to the end of time. Not the end of time.
Really?
The end of our time. Wow, that's intense.
There's a meteor coming to the
We're coming to the end of time. But I am curious if you could talk a little bit about that aspect, because you've shared this in Focus, this aspect of you where you say you're going to do it and then just don't.
Just don't.
And I think that's so relatable. And I want you to talk about it, not because I want to out you, but because I think it's important to talk about. And we as ADHDers do this so much along the journey of like, yeah, I got you. Absolutely no problem. I will take care of that. And then we just don't, or we're not equipped to do it, or we thought we could handle it, but we can't handle it. But then we're too scared to say we can't handle it.
Yes. So
does that resonate?
Oh, absolutely. It's like the kid sitting down to eat a big pizza. I'm going to eat this whole thing.
Yeah.
And he eats 2 pieces, and he's like, oh my God,
I'm so full.
I'm so full.
Yeah.
His eyes were bigger than his stomach.
Yeah.
I think especially in my situation, I'm trying to make up for all this lost ground here that I'm saying, yeah, I'll do that for you. Yeah, I'll do that for you. Yeah. I'm like,
Overcommitting.
It's like overcommitting. It's like, the thrill seeker that Dr. Rozier was talking about. And I was like, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. And then you just sit down and like, oh my goodness, I have 2 hours and I got 45 things to do.
It's too much. No human could do it.
And instead of saying, hey, Julie, my wife, Julie,
sure,
I need some help. I overcommitted here.
Yeah.
I just say, because I'm too afraid of those difficult conversations, even with my wife, who, for
loves
better or for worse, loved me.
Right?
She chose me. I chose her.
Yeah.
I don't want to disappoint, and I don't want to get in trouble, quote unquote. I wouldn't say anything. Yeah. I would just not do it and let the chips fall where they may. And unfortunately, I'm still picking up the pieces from
that. The chips are all over the place.
They're all over the floor.
Yep. So, what are you working on to not overcommit? Because like that's the thing, right?
I believe it or not, we just had this discussion the other day. I'm old school. I actually have a paper planner.
Love.
I write it. I'm starting to write things down more.
Love.
And I keep it in my phone too. Like our Google Calendar. Yeah. Because one, redundancy, just to help me. Once I do it a couple times, it'll help me remember it. But two, if it's on my phone and I don't have the old school planner with me, I can just say, oh, yes, November 5th, I can do your podcast November 5th. So that's helping a little bit because I just kind of really got into that, that little little hack, I guess you could say. But it's more of just being real with myself. It's just like,
it comes back to reality, doesn't it?
And it comes back to being comfortable saying no, because we people please. And I'm like, yeah, I can help you with that. Yeah, I can help you move. Yeah. You want that tree stump taken out? You want to be the
guy that can do all of that.
What's that?
You want to be the guy that can do all of that.
Yes. And I don't want to disappoint anybody by saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Right. I can't help you milk that cow over there because one, because I don't know how to milk a cow, and two, because I don't have time, and three, I have no desire to.
Right.
But I don't want to disappoint you, so I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to find a way to figure it out and do it with a smile on my face.
Oh, it's so real.
Don't ask me why I thought of milking a cow.
That's the best. That's the best. That's so good.
I could have thought of anything right there.
I would love for you to just, if you don't mind, what would you say to some of the listeners who are finding themselves in the middle?
I would say keep plugging along. I would say keep listening. Keep comprehending what people are saying and keep executing. If I can go back to that little three-word mantra, I guess you want to call it.
Listen, comprehend, execute.
Yes. And I'm guilty of not doing that all the time. And if anybody can learn from my mistakes or any mistake, if you want to call it a mistake, that would be it. Listen to what people are saying and take it to heart, because odds are they're not just saying it just for the sake of saying it. They're saying it for a reason.
It's good.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you.
I will be here anytime.
This is fun.
This is a short drive for me. I'll do this any day you want.
Great.